Hello and welcome to the GX podcast and video series. My name is Ian Khan and I'm your host and narrator here. I'm here at the World Government Summit 2023. And in this summit, we have a lot of people who are visiting from outside of the United Arab Emirates, from across the world, in fact, to talk about the future of governments. With me right now is Natalia Olson from Plug and Play. We're going to ask her all about her work and to understand what the future holds. Natalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's
It's a,
exciting.
it's a pleasure having you here. What are your first impressions of the summit itself?
A lot of people. And what's interesting is that there's so many different people from all over the world, but I've never been to Dubai before. And I'm
Okay.
very excited because we have an office here too.
Incredible. So Dubai is the place to be. The United Arab Emirates is, marching really fast on many fronts, from space exploration to technology and what have you. There's a lot happening, a lot of important announcements happening at the World Government Summit, and you can see the level of participation and the dialogue that's taking place. UAE is also home to COP28,
Yes.
so which is really great news. So I'm looking forward to this year, especially here for the UAE.
Well, when we talk about COP28, we talk about sustainability over the long term, right? We talk about practices that weren't available, things that weren't available before, and now it's great to see the UAE stepping up at the front, right? Because when we talk, I was part of the negotiation agreement of 2015 with the Sustainable Development Goals. When we talk about like the technology, right, to make that happen, to spread the information, so not only governments but corporates and entrepreneurs can actually take advantage of that. And we want to see more technologies coming out of this region.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about your work. What have you been doing for the last few years?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur as well, but I worked for Barack Obama for about 6.5 years for the U.S. Small Business Administration, helping entrepreneurs get funding. Then I started another company, and then I went to work for Plug and Play. It is the largest seed capital investor in the world. We have 35 unicorns. Google, Dropbox, many companies got started at Plug and Play. And I'm building the entire government division globally. So I am flying all over the world, working with different governments to make sure that we figure out better policies to build better entrepreneurial ecosystems, especially in the tech area.
Of course, and it's a lot of work because in some places there is a playbook, in some places there isn't. In many places, the infrastructure is missing, or you have to just build the foundations from grounds up, which is really, really hard to do. So
Yeah.
different. I'm guessing, when you encounter different places and geographies and regions, you just sometimes are maybe surprised or shocked at what you see.
Exactly, because I think that, across our region here between the Middle East, Africa, and Europe, especially, there's been a history of innovation. And there's a history of best practices. And I think sharing those best practices is really important. I'll give you a little bit of a story. So in 2012, when the EU wanted to comply with our patenting agreement between the US, we also showed them models which are like the SBIR, the SBIC models, in order for us to build the Silicon Valley, right? It didn't come out of the blue. It actually it came out of a government program that gave investors the funding and the capacity to invest in the craziest things. So the EU created this, and I think this is something of a program that can be adopted to many places. I think that's good models are good to share.
Of course. Now that you're in the UAE, and I'm sure you'll meet a lot of incredible people and hear a lot of conversations. What are maybe some of your, you know, uh, and I want to phrase this right. What are your maybe some of your preconceived ideas that you think are true about the region? And then what are some of the ones that you want to maybe get rid of or be wowed with? Like,
Sure.
it's the first time you're here.
I know it
right?
is, and it's really exciting because I believe very much that a lot of folks don't realize the booming, what's happening here, the great cities and great entrepreneurs that are here. We do have 6 offices in the region at Plug and Play, but we also need to figure out how to get those investors to take more risk. We need to go ahead and help the governments create the foundation, create smart legislation where incentivize the entrepreneur, maybe figure out ways to attract other entrepreneurs to the region, right? And I think that for me, especially when I talk about tech for peace, because we don't want any more conflict, and a lot of people see the Middle East with a different perspective. And when you're here, you're like, wow, what an amazing cities, or the region is booming, and there's so many things happening. And I think that when we talk about looking to the future, we want less conflict. We want for folks to understand that that technology can help save lives. That technology can inform people. That through that we have better education systems and so on.
Yeah.
So this has habilitated, I think, for us the vision. We grew in this year to 50 locations.
Wow.
And so now we are actually going to open 10 more offices. And so we're thinking, like, really expanding and working more closely with the ecosystem.
Of course. What about some emerging markets? Tell us a little bit more on what's happening around the world in terms of regions. Hey, interesting market, emerging, mature. Help us understand the landscape.
So I just flew from Nairobi, from Kenya, and Africa is a growing continent. 25% of the population is under 25 years old. That means that they have a big demand for better infrastructure, for more modern digital transformation. And I think coming from the Middle East and from Europe and the US, we can actually be able to work together. There's an amount of development that is happening. I think there's something interesting there for sure. Around smart cities, around smart infrastructure, I believe very much that we still have a long ways to go to create the access, to information, the access to the infrastructure. We need more 5G, 6G, and more Gs possible. I'm very excited to see what's happening here, that there's a lot of investment going into that. I think in Southeast Asia as well, we see a lot of growth. Things are becoming a little bit more expensive in China, so a lot of investment is going to Southeast Asia.
Right.
And then we have a very big Arab community in Latin America. So the bridges are very tiny. We can fly everywhere.
Yeah.
And so LATAM, 700 million people, 2 languages, growing tremendously as well. We see a lot of leapfrogging. Digital currency is becoming a lot more popular because it's a lot more stable. I'm a big fan of blockchain because of transparency.
Of course.
And I help bring it into the government. And so I see that there's a lot of new things, from edge computing to quantum to the ability to make infrastructure smarter. When you talk about cars, autonomous cars,
Yep.
you'll have to modernize the facades of buildings, the sidewalks, and so on.
Of course.
We still have the same systems, design systems from 50 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we absolutely have to look at growth and building and all of that from a overall perspective. Like, are our roads ready for autonomous transportation? They are not. They're not, right? They're not.
No.
But can we make an autonomous car, run in circles in an enclosed space? Yes, we can, So there's all of those things. But I think overall the world is full of hype. There's so much hype out there about emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, chat GPT-3, generative AI, metaverse, all of these things, right?
Yes.
And I feel sometimes they don't do justice to the actual cause. They're just a distraction where, they create more confusion. So I think we need more entrepreneurs who can actually convert ideas into solutions and say, hey, you know what? I have a very small problem in rural Pakistan collecting water, or in Africa, doing, herding animals or livestock. And those grassroots solutions are needed. I think technology can help some of them.
Well, it's funny because I was at the World Bank event, and all we talked about was ag tech, agriculture technology.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how sometimes the technology like drones or scanning devices or sensors, figuring out how much water we should be irrigating, figuring out trends and so on. But you need technology for that. You need to be able to translate that down to the rural farmer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not only about technology, it's about education too.
Yeah.
So I discovered these initiatives to help farmers go back to school, by having entrepreneurs and be at the school. So there's these areas that are very rural, complete open spaces, and not even like a farm or orchard have been,
Yeah.
actually designed for that. So it's coming back to creating that bridge, but you need education, and it's really important for us to emphasize that.
Yeah.
Technology is not going to solve everything, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's hype, but I think it's enthusiasm, right? People want to learn something because it's been, think about it. Our first smartphone didn't come out until 2006.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a few years ago.
Yeah.
So we didn't have our first applications, and so I think technology has moved really fast. But there's going to be a leveling off, I think. That,
Of course.
people are...
The story from Africa always fascinates me, and I don't remember it fully, but I remember parts of it. You may know it more than I do, and it's about the transformation of, I think, the poultry industry, and somebody taking eggs and then they distributed them. Do you know that story?
No, I don't know.
And then it became a revolution where everybody had eggs and people began selling them. Fascinating story, and I'll try and put it down in the comments below. But that's something that had nothing to do with technology, but innovative thinking.
Exactly.
And thinking, what kind of a solution does the society need, right?
Well, that's what, I like to remind people that all these large tech companies actually came out of wanting to solve a problem. They didn't come out to like, I'm going to make billions.
Yeah.
It's about solving something that wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so and in general, human beings, we want to solve for our lives. We want to solve for our children. We want to make sure that we don't have a bad impact, but we're always looking out for ways to solve problems because you live better that way, right? And I think that what's important here, especially when we balance technology and the big issues that are happening, it's get the citizen at the center. Get the person that you're actually affecting the most to have a dialogue. And that's where I say technology is a good thing, because you want to have that dialogue. And I'll tell you, as an urban planner, we used to only survey 100 people because you do it by paper. And I said, look, there's an application called SurveyMonkey. I got 5,500 responses to make a decision on huge infrastructure, transportation, construction. Instead of 100 people, I got 5,500
people.
So it's getting that citizen to be interactive, to be part of the solution.
I think as we head towards the end of our conversation, I think eliminating that friction between people and technology, making it usable, making it friendlier is so important, so that people can actually see the use of it, and then are not afraid of emerging tech. So I think that's kind of the way for governments to go forward. Build trust with citizens and engage through trust. And of course, bring together these ecosystems that are emerging of startups, create those foundations that are not just about, where the next unicorn is coming from, but hey, how many social problems are we going to solve? And how much social impact are we going to have? A lot of that is happening here. And if you just walk around the World Government Summit today and over the next couple of days, you'll see a lot of great things that are happening. So I'm totally looking forward to walking around, meeting people, and seeing what they're up to.
Yeah. Well, likewise, I can't wait to get to meet some of these government leaders, especially those that are very entrepreneurial and have been doing a lot, so we can share that with the rest of the world, because what we want to do is share what's happening in this region, and making sure that we build good bridges of prosperity and know-how around the world.
Absolutely. Where can our viewers and listeners find you and your company and your organization?
Sure, we're plugandplaytechcenter.com. Plug and Play our Twitter. We're in Sunnyvale, but as well as 50 locations around the world. We plug and we play. So plug and play.
Here's to Plug and Play. Natalia Olson joining us here at the World Government Summit and part of the GX podcast and the video series. Thanks so much, Natalia. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so
much. And we
much.
look forward to speaking with you again. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.